Here are the 5 key exercises you need to be doing as a throwing athlete. Starting with number 1, the external rotation. This one should kind of speak for itself as to why it would directly correlate to throwing. What I'm gonna do is throw my right leg up onto the bench, tie my elbow to my knee. I'm gonna make sure this isn't wiggling throughout the set, really lock it in. Offhand is gonna be used to press yourself up, tie the elbow to the knee. You're gonna bring the weight up, kind of like a catapult in that 90-degree angle, and you're gonna fight with control all the way to the bottom before starting the next rep. This will strengthen the exterior portion of your shoulder, which works as your decelerator for throwing. So getting strong at this help increase your throwing velocity as well as mitigate any injuries you have along the way. And this is not the only way to perform it. So if you notice here with the dumbbell, the most difficult part of the range is working here out of the bottom. So right now, it's hardest for me to get back up to the top. Now that I'm at the top, it's easy because I can just hold the weight here for however long I need to. But through this range here is where I'm experiencing the most tension. So if you notice, down here is the most tension with the dumbbell. The other way to do it, follow me over here to the cable machine, is with a cable machine. Now you'll notice, you could do these on the floor even. You don't absolutely need a bench. Same deal though, here I am, offhand pressing me up, tie the elbow to the knee, but here I am with the cable. Now if you notice, here, this is where the tension is easiest for me, so it works in the opposite. So now, the tension is hardest at the top, as opposed to the dumbbell variation where the tension is most intense here. So working both the cable and the dumbbell variation of this movement will help to bulletproof those shoulders. Number 2, for throwing athletes, the dumbbell pullover. Okay, let's think about it. When we're throwing, we're getting into wicked ranges with our shoulder, spine, chest, everything. When we're really opening up through, it's hard for me to demonstrate without having something to throw at. However, the variation I like best for throwing athletes is the variation with 2 weights, 1 weight in each hand, okay? So how we do this is the cross bench pullover is the goal. Drop my shoulder blades down into the crease of the bench, okay? I'm gonna start with my hips up for now. We'll talk about that in a second. But arms relatively straight as you reach back. Feel a good stretch through your shoulders, your chest, core, lats, everything. Feel that bottom range out and then bring it back up to the top. So we don't want to extend our arms too much, but we also don't want to bend out here at the bottom, okay? So you want to work to keep relatively straight arms without locking out the elbows. That's the goal. So you're reaching to feel a stretch and then strengthening to the top through the lats. So once you feel like you're even on both sides with lighter weights, you can progress to a heavier dumbbell and use 2 hands on 1 dumbbell just to ramp up the intensity a little bit of what you feel in the stretch near the bottom, okay? So let's talk about the hips on this. If the hips are up and bridged like this and I'm engaged through my backside, I'm gonna feel a lot more arm focus like through the lats and through the upper body. Now, if I drop my hips down, I'll experience a lot more stretch through the core as I reach back and back through to the top. So it really just depends on what your focus is through the movement. Start with light dumbbells in each hand to feel out any imbalances and slowly progress to holding a heavier weight in the center and feeling a lot more of what you ought to feel as a throwing athlete. If this is ever too intense for you in your neck or your shoulders or whatever the case may be, to work across the bench, you can always regress the movement by working with the bench. It'll take some tension off your neck and spine, and you can still work the range. If this is too much, you can even do very safe wall variation of this movement. Put your hands on the wall, move your feet back a bit, think about dropping down into it. Feels very similar. These are a great way to warm up before you really get into a working set. But those are just a few options. Number 3 would be the Powell raise. This one is a little awkward no matter how you go about it, but this is my personal best approach to executing it properly. So what I do is just go right on in at the bench. I'm gonna put my chest on the bench, crawl up a bit. I'm gonna grab the top crease of the bench here is gonna go into my armpit here. So I'm working my left arm to start. So I'm gonna rotate just a little bit to the working side, which will be my left. I'm gonna extend across my neck to the starting position, and I'm gonna keep my arm extremely straight throughout the whole exercise. So I'm firing here out of the bottom, getting to the top, and then it's all about fighting the tension slow and straight on the way down. Crossing through the neck, you never want to cross too low. What this does is it works your decelerators through a different point of tension than the external rotation. I know a lot of you are probably thinking this is very similar to the external rotation, and it is, but it is also very different. And working the decel is where you're gonna build a lot of the strength here. So get as strong as you can at these, keep that arm real straight, flex your tricep out all the way to the bottom. You really wanna stay up across your neck. The weight should cross your face every rep, okay? So you don't wanna finish down here. I see this a lot. Always crossing up through the neck, across the face. Fight slow, 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 slow. Keep your head neutral, looking straight ahead. You don't want to be down here. Don't want to be looking down as you're doing it. Straight at what you're looking at. This is too awkward for you and you can't figure it out. Took me a while too. No worries. You can always pivot to the cable. And this is a little bit simpler to get into. So now you can just kind of keep the same approach of crossing through to the top. Big thing here is I'm not using my body to pull from the cable. I'm using strictly my rear delts and exterior portion of the shoulder to pull it through. This is where the cable should finish, through your neck, okay? And still staying really straight and fighting slow, 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 slow. I'm never rotating through here. I'm staying super square to what's in front of me, isolating the shoulder. Progress these, get as strong as you can. I guarantee you'll feel more protected. Throwing the ball, you might find you're throwing a little faster as well. Number 4 would be the QL extension. QL stands for quadratus lumborum. It's basically the sides of your core. The muscles that work to rotate, which as throwers happens pretty often, okay? Rotating a lot. But depending on what side you throw on, you're rotating a lot to one side and not so much on the other side. So this is a great piece to even out those imbalances. So how we go about this is 45-degree back extension, if you got it. I will show you ways to do it if you do not have one. How I like to get into it is I cross my leg over. I've seen people do it the other way, so it's kind of preference, whatever's comfortable for you. But what you're gonna do is you're going to, with the offhand here, that isn't working, place it on your head. You're going to reach down, exceed as much range through here as you can, and then squeeze up through to the top, okay? So how you can progress and regress this movement would be, say this is very intense for you the first time you try it. There's handles here for most machines. You can kind of guide yourself down through the tension. It really takes a lot of pressure off, and I can use to press it up out as well. That would be one way to regress it. And then another way to regress would just be partial range and work slowly over time to open up more and more range for yourself with or without the handle. And then as we progress it and get stronger here, and we work to even out the sides. As throwers, let me make, as a disclaimer, you might find one side is very easy for you to get down to the bottom, and the other side might be a little locked up and tight. Pretty normal if you are a throwing athlete, because you've, like I said, rotated to one side over and over and over, not so much to the other. Don't panic, you can fix the imbalance. Now that I've graduated from assistance into full range, I'm now able to hold weight. Still want to keep that hand strong on my head. Reaching that weight down, firing up to the top, okay? So you want to get as strong as you can here. It'll really help you rotate and fire through with your throw. If you do not have a 45-degree back extension, another way you could do this would be a little bit heavier weight than this, but you want to, with the working side, say I'm holding the weight in my right hand, I'm going to put my right foot a little bit forward, stagger the stance a little bit. The offhand's gonna go right back to my head. I'm gonna let the weight carry me down as far as it can, and then back up. Same kind of deal. You might not get as much range as you would here. That's okay. Heavier weight will pull you down there. Really contract to come up to the top. Do both sides, obviously, and work to bring balance to your core. Fifth and final exercise is the Zottman curl. Okay, how we perform this is first things first, dumbbells to the side. I like to bring my arms a bit forward, tie my elbows to my hip, okay? So you're gonna be in tight. The grip of the dumbbells is really important on the Zottman curl. I like to slide my pinkies all the way down, making it a little lopsided grip. It will make sense here in a second. Elbows tied to hips, nice and tall. I'm gonna curl up. When I turn here, I'm gonna flare my wrists up, similar to if I was revving a motorcycle. And I wanna keep that position all the way down, nice straight line through to the bottom. You do not need a whole lot of weight to do these. I don't care how much weight you can curl. It is primarily for your wrists, elbows, and forearms. You'll get a little bicep pump, but it's not gonna be nothing crazy. So tie the elbows in, lopsided grip. Why we do the lopsided grip is because when we turn here, now the top half of the dumbbell is going to pull my wrist into a bit more of the position I need it to be in, which is straight. And right now I have wicked tension through my forearms and wrists, all the way up into my elbow. Nice and straight. This is great for elbow health, forearms, wrists, primary movers of throwing. Develop this curl and watch what can happen to your game. While it's hard to dumb it down to just 5 movements, I guarantee if you get as strong as you can at all of these movements, you will throw harder and have less injuries throughout the season. Give it a shot.